I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
Shortly after Christmas of 2014, I was sitting on the floor of my room as to sit closer to the TV. I was playing one of the only games I had at the time for the PlayStation 3. It was Grand Theft Auto 5. I remember driving my dark green sports car around the high-end apartments in the online world. I was driving up and down the hills, running people over, all while trying to outrun my other buddy in the lobby. Then suddenly, my bedroom door opened, and the person who opened it was my cousin. Apparently, her little brothers had got a new PlayStation for Christmas because their old one had died. With almost all of the brand new in-the-box PS3s came two games. The package at the time came with The Last of Us and the newest Batman game. However, her little brothers were too young and therefore weren't allowed to play rated M games. Why is this story relevant, you ask? Well, my cousin, who barged into my room, she threw a game onto my lap while saying Merry Christmas, and then she shut my door. I didn't know what she threw into my lap at the time because the package for the game was very thin and kind of paper-like, which is what the games usually were like when they came in the package. So I turned on the light and saw that it was a game called The Last of Us. I'd never heard of the game's name before, but I had seen pictures of the game's female protagonist, Ellie. So I told my friends on Grand Theft Auto goodbye, and I started up The Last of Us without even saying hi to my cousin. The next two games I played the game on and off, playing for a bit, getting bored, switching to Grand Theft Auto, and then playing The Last of Us again, and so on and so on. Then, right about the time that I got to Billstown, the game had me hooked. I no longer switched back and forth. The Last of Us was the only game I played, and I played it for hours at a time, examining every little detail of each area. The game was just fascinating to me. This continued for a couple more days before I finally beat the game. And at the time, that was probably one of the worst things that could have ever happened to me. I didn't know how to handle the game being over. The game was just so good and I loved it so much, I just didn't know what to do with my life after that. I felt empty. So for the next day, all I could think about was the game. I wanted more, and there wasn't any more for me to have. So I did the next best thing. I played it over and over and over and over again. It was only after that point I started to notice the little cracks in the story, the chapter conflicts that could easily have been avoided by one small action, the characters lacking blatant common sense, the ex machinas, everything that made the game bad. Of course, I was still a fan of the game, I was just very picky at this point. Then, when Left Behind came out on Valentine's Day, I had pre-ordered it, and I played it as soon as I was able to download it. I had roughly the same feel to it. I played it all in one sitting, which took roughly 2 hours to finish. I had played it on the hardest difficulty, so my first playthrough, that way I could get all the difficulty trophies at once. And that really the game wasn't happy with that. With the stress of making the game harder, I don't know, it just kind of messed with the AI director, enemies were spawning all weird. It just wasn't a very good DLC. And once it had ended, I realized that The Last of Us was over. There would be no more story add-ons. It was done. And I was okay with that. So we cut to Saturday, December 3rd. I was in the middle of playing the final installation of the Resident Evil 7 Biohazard teaser when my friend messaged me to ask if I had seen Naughty Dog's newest trailer. I hadn't, so I went and checked it out. Seeing that it was a trailer for The Last of Part 2, that made me really excited. However, when the trailer ended, that excitement died almost immediately. What was Naughty Dog thinking? Part 2? I thought they said it was over. This is just Naughty Dog wanting a few extra bucks, and you know what? This is what they do. They take a game that was complete, that didn't need a second part, and they did just that. They gave it a second part. Why are they going to do this? They already stated earlier that The Last of Us wasn't going to be turned into a franchise, and that the story was over. And I'll tell you what the reason is. It's just like how I stated earlier, they want more money. They want to turn this into a franchise just so people will buy the game and they can get more money. Now that itself isn't a bad thing, it's what companies do. They earn money, I get that, I'm okay with it. What I'm not okay with is what they're going to do with the game just to get that extra money. The first Last of Us game had two general enemies, the infected and the humans. The first human you're forced to kill is one of the two people after Tess shoots the group leader in the face. You can shoot the one that ran off to the left, or you can shoot the one that ran to the right. However, once you get this first kill, then congratulations, because now you've done what it takes to kill every other human in the game. Let's back up about 10 minutes of gameplay where you kill your first couple of infected. The first one you kill is a runner. The game has you sneak up behind it and choke it to death. Congratulations, you've now done what it takes to kill 1/3 of the infected in the game. The other two zombies that are in the other room chewing on a corpse can't be choked out because they'll notice you when you get too close. So you're forced to either punch them to death or to shoot them to death. And once you've done that, then congratulations, you've done what it takes to kill all the infected in the game. So what makes Naughty Dog think they can make it any different or any better? It will be the same infected and the same humans from the first game. However, that's to be expected when a company adds on to a franchise to earn more money. They just change the story, but the game itself is the same. The game will always be don't be shot and don't be eaten. No matter what story they slap onto it, we'll still be playing the first Last of Us. And speaking of the story, the core aspects of that won't be changing either. Look at the trailer. The only two characters shown in it are Ellie and Joel, the same two protagonists from the first game. Sure, okay, there isn't much wrong with that. Naughty Dog did state that if Joel and Ellie were in the second one, they'd just be background characters. But you know what, that's fine, they can change stuff. We can keep the characters as the same characters we like, sure, that's what makes them fun, so as long as they're the same, right? Well, let's look at Ellie. Her hair is different, she has a tattoo, her voice is different, she isn't Ellie anymore. I never thought I'd say this, but she's too mature to be Ellie that we all know and love. It isn't the same character. Now, what if we check out the multiplayer aspect of the game? How can they change that to be unique? They can't. They covered up every possibility in the realm of The Last of Us 1. It will be sad recreation of any third-person shooter or zombie wave game if they try to add anything else. Let's face it, The Last of Us 2 will be exactly the same as the first Last of Us, just with a different, poor story. It only exists because the fans wouldn't stop pestering Naughty Dog for it, and Naughty Dog knows they can make a quick buck by changing their word and making a sequel. But you know what, who knows? Maybe The Last of Us 6 will be fun.